The Galactic Council chamber was silent, an oppressive stillness that belied the anxiety thrumming through its members. Representatives of 20 of the most advanced species in the galaxy occupied the vast, circular hall, their bioluminescent forms and metallic exoskeletons casting strange reflections on the obsidian floor. At the center of the room, a holographic image rotated slowly, a representation of the threat that had united them all, humanity. They call themselves Homo sapiens, rasped High Counselor Vrol of the Zython race, his chitinous mandibles clicking with disdain. Primitive, violent, reckless. And yet, he gestured to the hologram, which flickered to show the charred remains of a council fleet. They obliterated our Task Force Theta in the Nixia system, a fleet of 50 ships reduced to scrap by a species barely out of their own atmosphere. Murmurs rippled through the assembly. The destruction of Task Force Theta had been a humiliating blow, a sharp reminder that technology and numbers weren't always enough to guarantee victory. Humanity had fought like cornered beasts, deploying tactics the Council considered barbaric. Kamikaze strikes, ambushes in asteroid fields, and experimental weapons powered by nuclear fission. Their brutality was matched only by their ingenuity. Counselor Rilke of the Zhorian delegation rose, her translucent robes shimmering in the light. Her kind were famed for their cold logic and ruthless efficiency. This was no anomaly, she said. In every recorded encounter, humans have displayed a pattern of extreme adaptability. They are a species unbound by the caution that governs us. They do not fear death as we do. They fight with emotion, anger, vengeance, pride. These are traits we do not fully understand, and that makes them dangerous. Another wave of murmurs. The fear in the room was palpable, though no one dared admit it outright. The galaxy was vast, and every species had its strengths, but humanity's unpredictability had shaken the Council to its core. They were a species that had risen too quickly, their progress accelerating exponentially in a few short centuries. Worst of all, humans had shown no interest in joining the Council. Instead, they had made it clear they would defend their sovereignty with every ounce of their being. We must act, Vrol declared, his voice rising, before they grow stronger. Before their influence spreads. Zarek sat silently among the Zhorian delegation, his blue-scaled face impassive as the debate raged. He was an operative, a shadow in the Council's arsenal, tasked with handling threats too delicate for open confrontation. It was said that the Zhorian spies could infiltrate any society, no matter how secure, and extract its secrets. Today, the Council had summoned him for a task unlike any other. Zarek, Rilke said, her voice slicing through the noise. You've heard the Council's concerns. As our finest operative, you are uniquely suited to this mission. You will infiltrate Earth, learn their strengths, their weaknesses, and determine whether they are truly the existential threat we believe them to be. Zarek inclined his head. And if they are, then we will decide whether to eliminate them, Vrol said, his tone heavy with finality. But first, we must understand them. Zarek stood, his tall, slender form casting a long shadow across the chamber. Understood. I will uncover the truth. The journey to Earth was uneventful, but the weight of his mission pressed on Zarek. He had studied humanity from afar, poring over intercepted transmissions and recordings of their battles. The Council's fear was not unfounded. Humans were unlike any species he had encountered. They were fragile by galactic standards, their lifespans short and their bodies susceptible to disease and injury. Yet they thrived in conditions that would break other species. They built cities in deserts, carved settlements into mountains, and ventured into the vacuum of space with little more than metal and ingenuity. As Zarek's ship entered Earth's atmosphere, cloaked to avoid detection, he gazed at the planet below. It was a riot of colors. Green forests, blue oceans, and sprawling cities glittering with artificial light. It was beautiful, vibrant, and alive. But beneath the beauty lay chaos. The humans were divided, their nations often at odds. They fought amongst themselves even as they prepared for the possibility of alien conflict. This duality, resilience paired with self-destruction, was what the Council feared most. Zarek landed his ship in a remote area, donning a disguise that would allow him to blend in. His mission was clear: observe, gather intelligence, and return with answers. But as he moved through human settlements, something unexpected happened. He saw not just the chaos but the heart of humanity. Families laughing together, children playing in the streets, artists painting murals on crumbling walls. He saw determination in their eyes, a refusal to yield to despair despite their struggles. It was unlike anything he had encountered in his long career. Other species valued logic, order, and survival above all else. But humans? They fought not just to live, but to dream, to create, to leave a legacy. The Council feared humans, Zarek realized, not because they were monsters, but because they were everything the galaxy had forgotten how to be: raw, untamed, and alive. For the first time in his life, Zarek felt doubt. What would the Council do if they deemed humanity too dangerous? And what would Zarek himself do if it came to that? As he moved deeper into human society, one thing became clear: this mission would not be as simple as he had thought. The truth about humanity was more complicated and far more terrifying than the Council had ever imagined. Zarek moved through the bustling streets of a human city, his humanoid disguise blending seamlessly with the crowd. Earth was unlike anything he had experienced. The air buzzed with the constant hum of activity, vehicles darting through narrow roads while people hurried in every direction. Despite their technological inferiority compared to the Galactic Council, humanity's cities pulsed with a chaotic energy that was both alien and fascinating. For days, Zarek had observed their society, embedding himself into its flow. He infiltrated a local cafe, his primary base for monitoring conversations and gathering insights. Humans fascinated him. They spoke with passion, argued over trivial matters, and yet, beneath their apparent discord, he sensed an unshakable unity. In his report to the Council, Zarek described the dichotomy of human life. Humans thrive on chaos, he wrote. Their societies are fragile, divided by politics, culture, and beliefs. Yet, in moments of crisis, they display a capacity for unity and resolve that surpasses logic. It is this contradiction that makes them dangerous. They are a species that thrives on the brink of disaster, but the report failed to capture what Zarek saw with his own eyes. One evening, during his surveillance, he witnessed a fire break out in a residential building. Before emergency services could arrive, humans rushed into the blaze, pulling strangers to safety. Some emerged burned and coughing, yet they returned to help others. Zarek watched in silent awe. Among his own species, such reckless altruism was unheard of. It was inefficient, illogical, and yet it was undeniably powerful. The more Zarek observed, the more he realized the source of the Council's fear. Humans were not simply unpredictable, they were relentless. They did not fight for survival alone. They fought for ideals, for each other, for reasons that transcended mere self-preservation. A breakthrough came when Zarek identified a covert military installation on the outskirts of the city. It was a fortress of reinforced steel and concrete, guarded by humans who moved with practiced precision. Inside, Zarek discovered something that made his blood run cold. Using his stealth and advanced cloaking device, Zarek infiltrated the facility. He expected rudimentary technology, but instead, he found the foundation of something terrifying: an experimental warp-drive weapon. Human scientists were refining a device capable of instantaneous space travel, powered by an unstable element unknown to the Galactic Council. If completed, this weapon could render the Council's superiority irrelevant. Zarek observed the team of scientists, their faces lined with exhaustion but driven by determination. Despite limited resources, they pushed forward, arguing over equations and testing prototypes late into the night. Their progress was astonishing, achieved not through advanced technology, but through creativity and perseverance. One night, as Zarek slipped through the shadows, he overheard a conversation between two scientists. "If the Council attacks, this could be our only chance," one said, his voice heavy with weariness. "They think we're weak, but they don't understand us. We don't give up. Ever." Zarek's mission was clear: report his findings to the council. But for the first time, doubt crept into his mind. Humanity was fragile, yes, but that fragility was their strength. They fought harder because they had more to lose, and perhaps that made them invincible in ways the council could never comprehend. As Zarek slipped back into the night, he knew his report would carry a warning the council might not want to hear. Humanity's strength lay not in their technology or numbers, but in their spirit, and that was a force no fleet or weapon could easily extinguish. The Galactic Council did not heed Zarek's warnings. His reports, filled with descriptions of humanity's resilience and adaptability, were dismissed as exaggerations or signs of compromised judgment. The Council's fear of humans had grown into something irrational, a paranoia that demanded swift action. Their potential alone is unacceptable, High Counselor Vrol declared in a meeting that echoed across the Obsidian Chamber. We cannot wait for humanity to rise further. They must be neutralized. Now, before they become unstoppable. Despite Zarek's objections, the Council authorized an invasion. A fleet of 100 warships, equipped with the most advanced technology the galaxy had ever known, was dispatched to Earth. The mission was simple: annihilation. No diplomacy, no warnings. Zarek stood silently as the Council deliberated, his claws tightening at his sides. He had spent weeks on Earth, witnessing not just humanity's ingenuity but their heart, their ability to unite in the face of overwhelming odds. The Council was underestimating them. Worse, it was underestimating the price of provoking them. When the fleet departed, Zarek made his decision. He would return to Earth not as an operative but as a defector. The human leaders reacted with predictable alarm when Zarek revealed himself. Disguised as one of their own, he infiltrated a military summit and uncloaked in the middle of their meeting. Weapons were drawn instantly, but he raised his hands in surrender, his voice calm and deliberate. I am not your enemy, he began, but your enemy is coming. At first, the humans were skeptical. They questioned his motives, probed his knowledge, and debated whether to trust him. But when Zarek provided detailed schematics of the approaching fleet, ship formations, weapon capabilities, and strategic weaknesses, the room fell silent. They fear you, Zarek explained, so much so that they would rather destroy you than understand you. But you are not defenseless. You can fight back. The human leaders absorbed the news with grim determination. They did not panic as Zarek had expected. Instead, they began to plan. Nations that had once been rivals now sat side by side, strategizing as one. Engineers worked around the clock to arm their warp drive weapon, codenamed Black Dawn. Soldiers prepared for battle with a mix of stoic resolve and fiery determination. Humanity's strategy was as audacious as it was brutal. They would allow the fleet to approach Earth, drawing the Council ships into a trap. Using cloaked satellites and decoy fleets, they would confuse and disrupt the invaders before launching a decisive counterstrike with Black Dawn. When the Council fleet arrived, the sky above Earth turned into a battlefield. Massive ships darkened the heavens, their energy cannons raining destruction on human defenses. But the humans were ready. Guerrilla tactics and precision strikes from Earth's surface caught the fleet off guard. Cloaked drones and orbital mines wreaked havoc on the Council's formations. Amid the chaos, Zarek watched in awe as humanity fought with a ferocity he had never seen. They did not fight out of fear but with the grim determination of a species that refused to be erased. The warp drive weapon, activated at the last moment, tore through the Council's flagship, its destruction sending shockwaves through the fleet. By the end of the battle, Earth was scarred but standing. The Council fleet was shattered, retreating into the void with the remnants of its ships. Humanity had not just survived, they had won. As Zarek stood amidst the wreckage, he knew the galaxy would never be the same. The Council had tried to destroy humanity, but instead, they had awakened a force they could never control. The Council's defeat at Earth reverberated across the galaxy. For the first time in eons, the Galactic Council, an institution that had ruled with absolute authority, had been humbled. News of humanity's victory spread like wildfire. To the species subjugated or intimidated by the Council, it was a beacon of hope. To the council itself, it was a catastrophe. The council chamber, once a place of unchallenged dominance, now echoed with panic and discord. High Counselor Vrola's voice was hoarse from shouting as he tried to regain control. This is not the end. Humanity must be dealt with. We will regroup, rebuild, and crush them. But his words rang hollow. The other delegates no longer shared his confidence. The mightiest fleet in the galaxy had been reduced to debris in Earth's orbit. The Council's technological superiority had been outwitted by human ingenuity. Worse, their defeat had exposed the Council's vulnerability to the rest of the galaxy. We underestimated them, Rilke admitted, her tone uncharacteristically subdued. Not just their technology, but their will. Humanity does not fear death as we do. They fight with a desperation that makes them unstoppable. In a dark corner of the chamber, Zarek stood silently, now regarded as a traitor by his own people. He had returned to the council not to gloat but to deliver a simple truth. The galaxy would never be the same. On Earth, the aftermath of the battle was equally profound. Cities lay in ruins, their inhabitants grieving for those lost. Yet, amidst the destruction, there was triumph. Humanity had survived, proving to themselves and to the galaxy that they were more than a fragile, isolated species. In the United Nations Emergency Summit, world leaders stood together, united in a way that had once seemed impossible. They were no longer divided by borders or ideologies. They were human, and they had earned the galaxy's respect through blood and fire. We have shown the Council, President Adebayo declared, her voice strong despite the exhaustion etched on her face, that we will not be erased. But make no mistake, this is just the beginning. They will return, and we must be ready. Scientists, engineers, and military strategists worked tirelessly to reverse-engineer Council technology salvaged from the battle. In secret, humanity began constructing a fleet of their own. They would not wait for the Council's next move. They would take their place among the stars, not as victims, but as equals or perhaps as something greater. Back in the council chamber, Zarek's voice cut through the tense silence. You fear humans, he said, addressing the gathered delegates. But you do not understand them. They are not like us. They are not bound by the same rules. They thrive in chaos, adapt to the impossible, and rise stronger from every defeat. If you attack them again, you will not survive. The chamber erupted in protests, but Zarek continued. They have tasted victory. They know their strength now, and the galaxy has seen it too. Your reign is over. The council did not respond, but the truth was clear. Humanity had shifted the balance of power in the galaxy. They had gone from an isolated species to a force capable of toppling empires. In the following months, whispers spread through the stars. Some species began reaching out to humanity, seeking alliances, inspired by their defiance. Others watched in fear, wondering if humanity's fire would one day consume them too. As Zarek left the council chamber for the last time, he felt a strange sense of peace. The galaxy no longer feared the council. Now it feared humans, and perhaps he thought that fear was well-deserved.